Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Centric. This being a show about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episode of The Cleaning Lady. A great episode. A lot of really interesting things went down in this episode. So let's break it down. This is the episode where these story points have kind of been leading to this. Everything kind of clashes a little bit because Tony finds herself in the complicated situation of, yes, as is a point I brought up last episode, she still needs Robert alive because he's still the only means of getting the meds. And I knew that would kind of come in conflict with Armand needing him killed now because it's like, right, he no longer needs me. He even said so as much because he even tells Tony, it's like, right, you could run things. You're better than Armand, which part of me almost wonder, are they kind of setting Tony up to be like she'll do whatever it takes to protect her son, even if it means kind of becoming like a drug queen pin or something like that, kind of like running things to some extent. But like I said, it comes in conflict with Armand because it's like, Robert doesn't like Armand to begin with. Now it's like, you're proving to be a failure, you're proving to be more of a liability, then I'm gonna remove you from the equation, especially considering the fact that, hey, Robert is an extremely paranoid person. So there's that element to it already. I mean, he already kind of had a feeling like, oh, it's either between you and Maya, who might be rats or whatever. It's like, well, I haven't had any rat issues to deal with recently, but he's still always had his eye on Armand because, once again, he doesn't like Armand, and removing Armand from the equation makes it even easier to swoop in and take Nadia in his mind. But I mean, he already feels like he's in the winner's circle when it comes to Nadia anyway. But either way, Armand is saying like, hey, trust me, I can get the medication if you need me to. But she's like, with what power? Yes, I get it. You want to help him, and I appreciate that. But we have to be realistic here. You don't have the pull and connections that you once did. Robert's the one with all of that. And for Armand, that cuts so deep because it's like time and time again, he's done so much for Tony. He's like, you can't trust me in this moment. It's like, in a moment like this where it's like, hey, my son's life is in the line. No, but that's the thing. You've counted on Armand time and time again when it came to Luca's life being on the line, and he's always come through. Fact of the matter is, Armand put the squeeze on people to make it so that, hey, when that shipment comes through, the specific container with Luca's meds, I want to be the first one to touch it. No one else gets their hands on it. So, and obviously Nadia knows, like, right, time and time again, we're putting our, like, that woman's son's needs before our, and even for Nadia, it's not even just her son's needs. It's more so like, you're still putting that woman first before, like, considering where we are, we could end up getting killed if, Robert gets any whiff of what we're up to, whether it's you trying to kill him, whether it's you stealing from him. We have to be smart about this. We need to just go through with killing him, and we can't, and because stealing from him will kind of tip him off that something's off. So it's like, that's why Armand was like, we have to immediately kill him now so it's not even an issue. And if it becomes an issue, it doesn't go through, I'm going to pop him in myself. I get the feeling that might be the end result. It's hard to say who's going to be the one that ends up killing Robert in the end. Is it going to be Armand? Is it going to be Garrett? My money's more so on Armand. But because Nadia was the one that was going to slut the pills, and that was pretty smart in my opinion, like folding it up. Kind of was like, probably like, yeah, you don't want to take the chance that you might like put the pills in there, it might take a while to dissolve. It's like, yeah, but crushing it up ahead of time, hiding them in a bill that she slipped into her dress. I was like, I'm sure that's probably been used in something before, but that's the first time I think off the top of my head. I'm sure maybe there has been an example of me watching something where that's happened, but I don't think I've ever seen that tactic. I mean, the end result, yes. But I mean, what you're trying to do is being crafty about slipping in, but like using a dollar bill like that. I mean, using a bill because it's probably like a 20 or something. But using it like that, I don't think I've seen it like done in that regard. But nevertheless, tangents aside. And especially with all this happening, with Garrett being like, yo, Armand killed Maya, we need to take him down. But his boss is like, she's like, no, like, the bigger fish here is Robert. The fact is he's connected to human trafficking, prostitution, drugs. We take him down, we take down half the syndicates here in Vegas, or whatever, like syndicates that we are aware of. So he's the bigger picture here. And I think it's like, right, once we do that, then we can take down Armand. I don't know how that will work legally, because, like, I mean, maybe you could still do that. I feel like that'd be, if they took down Robert with Armand's help and then eventually arrested Armand for Maya's death, that could end up negatively impacting their case against Robert. So it's like, yeah, like, that's why it's a thing of, like, right, we need to take him down. We need to take down Camdar. I don't even know if it's going to be like, oh, we need to take down Armand after the fact. Because Garrett's under the impression, like, right, it's got to be him killing Maya just for the purposes of, hey, he was scared that she was going to rat them out. Obviously, he gets full context for everything later, but we'll get to that soon enough. And it is back to that interesting thing about this series where these two guys are kind of like, right, they're both people that Tony needs, but they're also people that need Tony. And so she tried to go down the Armand route of telling him, hey, don't kill Robert. She tried to go through Nadia, which Nadia's like, I get it. I'm sorry about your son too, but we've done so much. Armand has helped your son before, time and time again, and now it's in a situation where Armand's life is in danger, and now she's in a position of, well, what are you going to do? Are you going to, and you're asking her to choose between her son's life and Armand's life, and for her, it's like, Luca's going to win out every time, but it does suck because, yes, she does care about Armand, but that's nothing compared for her love for her son, so he will always come first. He's the reason why she does what she does. I don't think she's gone down the Walter White or Wendy Burke road yet where it's like, well, I mean, maybe on some underlying level, you may make the argument, but I still don't think Tony's gotten to that point of, yeah, I had the best of intentions when I originally started this, but along the way, I love the power and position. I don't think Tony's there yet. Hence the examples I used, Wendy Bird and Walter White. She hasn't quite gotten that bad yet, but it is tiptoeing in that direction, but it's still the ends justify the means because it's for my son. So she ends up getting Garrett to go after Armand to try and stop Armand. It's just like, because she didn't know, like, right, Nadia would be part of the plan in killing, like, you know, she would have found a way to intervene then, but she thought the person she had to watch out for was Armand. I mean, Armand has been, like, the killer. Like, the fact is, like, hey, he's the one that killed Maya. He's the one that killed the guy that was blackmailing them about the motel dude. That whole thing about him blackmailing them about Chris and everything. So that's why I think in her head she probably assumed Armand was going to be the one that, like, find some way to do it. Right? Probably didn't cross her mind to think, like, right, he'd have Nadia help do it. Because he, I'm about to say, like, oh, maybe she thought Nadia wasn't involved, but it's like, no, she knows that Nadia's involved because they had a conversation about it. I talked about that, so I was like, yeah. So it's not like she didn't know Nadia was involved, but she didn't know Nadia would be the one kind of delivering the death blow to some extent. So, but then Garrett also brings up, like, what happened with Maya and Tony was like, yeah, I don't know. So it's like, right, Tony doesn't know that Garrett now knows about Armand killing Maya. So you getting him to try and stop Armand, he already had his own intentions and you didn't know that. So it's like, that's the thing of, like, yeah, you're making all these moves, but there is so much out of your control. There's so much knowledge. It's not like you know everything. A lot of times you are missing a key piece of information. So it is that thing. And when Garrett found Armand, he was like, oh, I was going to put a bullet in your head, dump you where all these, like, bodies get dumped. Like, this is where mobsters dump bodies. So what happened with Maya? And it's like, right, Camdar already knew about Maya. It was either her or Tony. If I didn't kill her, he would have killed Tony. He's like, if it was just me, it would have been a different story because he didn't want to kill Maya. We saw that. He wasn't like, truth be told, he doesn't like killing people unless it's a situation that really, really, really calls for it. He doesn't like killing people. You know, he kind of had no choice with Hayek because Hayek was trying to kill him. Has no choice with Robert. It's like, right, he only goes down to that route when he kind of has no choice. I mean, even the guy that was blackmailing Chris, is like, that dude, he hesitated to kill him, you know? Even though he was kind of offered it up, it still weighed heavy on him doing it, you know? And Garrett now finding out the context for it is like, all right, I'll let you go. But he's like, right, the moment you or Tony, like both you and Tony deserve to be locked up for all that you've done. He's like, I mean, it's not like this is the first time you killed anyone. There's a long list of people you've already killed that you should be locked up for. But until the moment you stop being useful to me, I will bury you. So... And he's even saying, like, in that situation, he would have never pulled the trigger. It's like, the fact of the matter is, given an inverse of that situation, Garrett, you certainly would have pulled the trigger. He's like, oh, I kind of think for him, it's like, I would have found another way. Or maybe he's like, I would have done the more honorable. It's like, if you didn't do it, it most likely would have been a situation of like, oh, so like, say like Armand didn't pull the trigger. Or if, say like you were in that situation, you would have gotten killed. And hey, Tony, you have a choice. You could kill Maya, or I can go to your son and I can kill him. And Tony definitely would have pulled the trigger. But Garrett, like, what I'm saying with Garrett is, if the roles were reversed, if Tony was the one in that chair where Maya was, and Maya was besides, like, Garrett, kill Tony, or you have to, or Maya dies. You would have pulled the trigger. You would have hesitated just like Armand did. It's like, he can't make it, like, there are circumstances to that situation. That exact situation, maybe he would have tried to find another way around it. Maybe he wouldn't have pulled that trigger and Tony would have died, but maybe he could have, but there would have been no way, or an easy way around that situation. And obviously it's easy to say because it's someone he cares about. I mean, he talked about who Maya was, that she was a good-natured person. The fact of the matter is, in the end, Tony got out of that whole situation because, like, hey, like, Maya helped her, you know? Tony is okay because of the choice Maya made, because Maya always tried to do the right thing. Yeah, there was some slip up in lives and she kind of went down this path, but she was still a good person. She wanted to help people, you know? And what did she get? She got a bullet in the head for it. So it is that complicated thing. Garrett also didn't tell Armand about the fact is that Tony's the reason why he was there in the first place. Because he's not like, oh, Tony like told me to stop you about Camdar. We don't know if that happened or not, off screen or whatever. But he probably thinks like the timing's a little interesting. But to be fair, that might not be in his mind right now because Garrett did say, we got your prints on the gun. So it's like, yeah, like that's, but he might be a little suspicious, especially because, hey, when everything goes down, Robert's having a heart attack, and regardless of it all, Tony saves Robert's life, which even, Nadia's like, you doing this you're definitely going to be killing Armand by doing this, because she doesn't know that Armand is trying to secure Luca's meds. And it's like, right, that this whole situation is fucked all across the board, because obviously Armand and Tony have had their issues but it's like 9 out of 10 times they've been on the same side of things. Yes, they've had their disagreements about things, but typically they've been on the same side. This is going to be, because it's not even just for Armand. It's like, right, it's my life. It's my wife's life. It's even your life. Like, we could have been from underneath Camdar, but you saved his life, and maybe that's going to make him go, Garrett came after me about Maya, and it's like, what did I do? It is going to be the situation of, because of all this, I do believe Armand might get to the point where he's like, you know what? I'm done, Tony. Go your own route. I am going to stick with my wife. We're going to see this through to the end. It's like, right, if you had just trusted me, because the whole point of this whole situation too was also for Armand. He was trying to get the meds ahead of time, but he does say, like, once it's all said and done, because Nadia is still his wife, everything would have gone in her name. So that would have been a win-win-win all across the board. But it's like, because of Tony's interference, it kind of blew everything up. It's like, once again, not everyone has every bit of information. To be fair, Armand was kind of ignoring her calls, but it's like, even if he had told her, like, hey, I'm securing the route, she still probably would have done what she did, Because it's like, right, I still don't want it jeopardized, so who knows? And now that Robert's alive and Armand's got that whole container of meds thing set up, that leaves that to come back and blow up in his face. Because once the doctors ran a screen test, like luckily it didn't pop up in his blood, but he's like, no, had the doctors run it again and look for something else. And it's like, oh boy. And if they find something, he's going to wonder like, well, who would have slipped me in? Because he already caught Nadia earlier in the episode looking through his meds, being like, oh yeah, like, oh, she's like, I have a headache with this, but he's like, no, that's for my back. It's like, so she already knows about his meds and stuff, plus he already knows, like, well, Armand's probably gunning for me. Once again, he's just a paranoid dude all in general, like, who has the motivation and needs me dead? It's like, well, Tony doesn't want me dead because she needs me. Who has nothing to lose and everything to gain? Armand. And I don't know if he's going to be quick to be like, Nadia's behind this too. It's like, because he wouldn't want to believe it, but because of his paranoia, he might be like, I need to keep a closer eye on you or something. So Armand might find himself in that situation again. Now, either like Robert's going to give him an option, or just it's going to be like Tony or Nadia type of situation. Or it might be a thing, which I think I could see Robert still killing Nadia, despite how he feels about it, just to hurt Armand. Even if Armand's like, yeah, I choose, save Nadia, kill Tony, but it's going to be like no, I'm going to kill Nadia regardless. Doesn't mean it's going to go down that route, but I could definitely see a circumstance like that happening, and despite how he feels about it, he'd still kill Nadia just to prove a point, just because it's like, yeah, you made this choice before, and I'm going to be the one making the choice now, because Nadia betrayed me, she broke my heart, she's the love of my life, but also because I know this failure is going to cut deep. It's that villainous thing of like, oh no, it'd be easier to kill you. What I'm actually going to do is I'm going to leave you with all this pain and this failure, and you're the reason why she died, which Armand would end up taking out on Tony, which once again would add fuel to the already complicated situation they're in this episode, you know? So, like I said, once again, I have to reiterate it. The situation is fucked. The JD stuff I thought was going to, I was like, every time that, like him and Fiona were in a scene together, I'm like, oh guys, it's going to get awkward. But he never brought it up. I'm like, oh, go ahead, drop the hammer already. I know you're going to, you have to, like, stop. Cause I'm like, I know that conversation's right around the corner, because he wasn't trying to push it anymore. He's like, right, I want Fee to kind of come, I don't want to like kind of push that ultimatum. It's already there, but this episode is when it fully became an ultimatum, because a guy rode up, he was there to keep an eye on Tony. He's Kamdar's guy, but the thing is, she never told Fee that he was there, and because she would have been like, yeah, she probably wouldn't have invited JD over and stuff like that if she knew, because he's like, oh, some random bro was like rolling up, oh, you do know this guy, and so Tony chose Luca over Armand, but now it's a situation where Fee's in that same, especially because, you know, he broke up with his girlfriend, and he's kind of like, no, I'm happy because he loves having the kids there. He loves having Fiona there because he loved her. It's just like, right, she kind of made the choice to, you know, not marry him, or like, I think, wasn't it like, she didn't want to kind of ruin his, like, I forgot what her reasoning, like, I can't remember if it's a thing of, like, because she didn't want him then to get married. Like, she's like, if we got married, I didn't want it to feel like an obligation. It's like, yeah, but you didn't give me the choice. I wouldn't have married you out of obligation. I would have married you because I loved you and still love you. But so they're rekindling their flames. I'm sure, I was like, oh, the moment they were making out, I'm sure Chris would be happy for his mom. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm fairly sure Jazz would be super excited, but I think Chris would be happy for his mom as well, because JD's a good dude. But now it's a thing of like, yeah, you have to choose between your daughter and her. And it's like, right, you don't know all that's going on. Once again, not everyone having all the pieces of information, because Tony should have told Fee about it. But it's like, right, you're already dealing with so much. Or maybe it's just because she was juggling with so much. She's like, right, I don't remember who knows what. Or maybe she's like, right, I don't want to scare you by making you know that, like, I don't want to make you uncomfortable by you knowing that one of Kamdar's guys is like out front or whatever, so on and so forth. And it's like, oh, dude. And now Fiona's stuck between, like, right, she has to make that choice. And there's part of me that's like hopeful that I think the right thing to do, despite how much it would hurt. And I think Tony would make the decision of, do what you need to. You got to look after the safety of your children. Yes, we're a family. We're supposed to be in this together. But it's like, right, she's asked Fee to do stuff time and time again, has put Fee in danger time and time again. because of just everything that she's been mixed up in. And it's like, right, I can't continue to ask her to do that. Like, yes, we are family, but yeah, I'm willing to put my children first. How can I not ask her to do the same, you know? And it's like, yeah, once again, it's the thing of we are family and stuff, but it's still like, right. I think in the end, Tony will like help ease that decision. Like, right, this is what you need to do. I'm the reason why I'm in this. You go off of me. I could see Fiona kind of pushing back on that, wanting to do it, but also like being like, no, I'm down. I don't know. Because if she chooses Tony, like JD will most likely take her to court for rights, I said rights, jeez. Sole custody rights and stuff like that, potentially. So it could get really, really nasty. So I'm curious if Tony and JD are going to have a conversation about everything, too. So once again, just everything that could be going wrong is going wrong. But it really hit its fever pitch this episode. So it's going to definitely be interesting to see next episode with the aftermath of all of this, what that's going to look like. So that's definitely going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what happens. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and goodbye.